Happy game day, Bengals fans. Welcome into our TriHealth pregame live stream as we get set for Bengals versus Packers this afternoon at Paul Brown Stadium. Along with Dave Lapham, I'm Marisa Contipelli. Here are your Bengals inactives this afternoon. Cornerback Nick McLeod, defensive end Darius Hodge, defensive tackle Tyler Shelvin, and on the offensive side of the ball, offensive lineman Fred Johnson and wide receiver Mike Thomas. They are all inactive. But Dave, the name that's not on there, Joe Mixon, he will give it a go this afternoon. What can we expect from him? Do we anticipate Mixon maybe being on a limited snap count today?
I'm not sure. I guess that's going to be interesting to see. I do think that the Bengals might be planning on throwing the football a little bit today, and I hope they don't plan on throwing it too much. But honestly, the reason I say that is, in prior film that I've looked at, the Green Bay Packers go base defense when teams run 11 personnel. So when they have 3 wide receivers out on the field, they go base. And the Bengals feel like that's a good matchup for their passing attack with their 3 wide receivers out there on the football field that they think is a tough matchup for anybody. It's going to be significantly tough for the Green Bay Packers because they're without their best cornerback in Alexander. And with him down, now you have T. Higgins is back. So you have all your weapons, and they are missing their best cornerback. So you have the Bengals' top 3 receivers going against the second, third, and fourth best cover guy of the Green Bay Packers. Mm-hmm. So, you look at that matchup and you say, wow, should I beat my head up against the wall or should I, throw the football? Now, what the Packers are going to do, I think, Marissa, is play real soft zones. They're going to try to keep everything in front of them. They'll play a lot of 2 safeties deep, I think a lot of 2 shell, and say, okay, be patient. We're going to give up the short pass, and then we're going to rally up and tackle people. But if the Bengals keep their patience and their poise, and Joe Burrow does, I think they can do some damage. And to me, that's an extension of the running game. If you're going to give up those short, intermediate passes, Joe Burrow's money with his accuracy. So I say take what they give them, go to your best matchups. And if they are going to have a very light box, though, if they say we're going to keep 2 safeties back because of your passing game, the Bengals have to take advantage of it with Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, Chris Evans, whoever it is. The Bengals are going to have to be able to run the football against that light box when they don't have a safety down in that box.
Absolutely, Dave. And, just to add in on, the Packers secondary, they've given up 10 touchdowns through the air, which is tied for second most in the NFL. So you're right. If they can kind of get that passing game going against, some of their backups there in the secondary, it could be a long day for the Packers. And especially when you look at kind of what Joe Burrow has done, especially over the last 2 weeks, he's hit career high in completion percentage and QB rating. He's really kind of been playing some of his best football over weeks 3 and 4. What's been the difference in your mind in Joe Burrow kind of as of late?
I think it's just comfort level. You come back from a rehabilitation like he had to go through with an ACL, the reconstruction, then the rehabilitation of the reconstruction. It's a process. And obviously, he had his mental block during training camp of bodies around him and all those kind of things that you have to work through. And then there's nothing like game snaps. And he didn't really start taking live snaps as such. He took none, really. He took 1 snap in preseason. It was a bubble screen and get out of there. So I think it's just the process of checking those final boxes where I got hit, got up, I'm okay. I did a quick pirouette spin, my knee held up, I'm okay. I think just feeling totally comfortable now. When you watch him play now, I really don't notice him being hindered by anything physically or mentally. I think he's just playing at an exceptionally high level that he can play at. And again, having all hands on deck weapon-wise in this football game. And the fact is the Green Bay Packers are missing their best pass rusher in Smith, and they're missing their best cover guy in Alexander. That bodes well for Joe Burrow, I think, to have a pretty good day throwing the football. We'll see.
When you look at the line for Burrow, Jackson Carman is going to be making another start at right guard. Jonah Williams, has been playing much better this season. It's been really encouraging to see what he's been doing out there. How do you like, the matchup in the trenches when it comes to the Bengals offensive line going against the Packers line?
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting matchup as well because the Green Bay Packers are a little bit diminished. I think the big matchup, you talk about, Jonah on the edge, I think he'll win that matchup. I really do. I think the big matchup is inside. Kenny Clark is playing well for them, the nose tackle. And we saw Trey Hopkins this week. They rested him totally. because he's coming back from an ACL reconstruction in a shorter time frame than Joe Burrow. I mean, he had it done in January, and he's out there playing every snap, and he's playing inside, and he's in all these piles of bodies. It's almost miraculous in my mind what Trey Hopkins is doing physically and mentally for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think they felt like they had to give him a little time to catch his breath and regroup a little bit physically in preparation and getting ready for Kenny Clark. I think the big matchup is going to be handling Kenny Clark with the interior offensive lineman, because the Green Bay Packers, Joe Barry, their defensive coordinator, he runs bear. He'll run 6-1 defense. I mean, he runs all kinds of stuff, and it's gonna really put some pressure on the interior of the Bengals offensive line. So Trey Hopkins is going to have to be real good with recognition of what's going on defensively and making the proper calls, and then going out and executing it physically.
Well, and Dave, you look on the other side of the ball, the Bengals defense has been playing well through 4 weeks, but of course it's Aaron Rodgers, under center for the Packers, always going to be a threat when you have a quarterback of his caliber. But you look at, the two lines going up there in the trenches. Packers are without two of their starting offensive linemen today, and you look at the Bengals front. I mean, I have to imagine that the Bengals kind of have the edge there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that this Nyman, the left tackle, is, in my mind, Henderson has to take advantage of that matchup. Jenkins is down today for the third game with an ankle injury. He has started at center, guard, and tackle in the same season for the Green Bay Packers, the first guy to do that since the 1970 merger of the AFL and NFL for the Green Bay Packers. He's a versatile guy, a really good player. Not having him at left tackle is a big blow, I think. And then Myers from Ohio State, that I'm sure pretty well. He's down with that finger injury, and he just flat out won the job from day one as the center. And so that's going to be a little bit different. There's no doubt about it. And Aaron Rodgers is really good at getting the ball out of his hand quickly, obviously, and he's really good at extending and creating plays. And when he does that, if the Bengals defensive line gets him out of pocket and he has to extend and create, the one thing you have to do is plaster in the secondary. Don't get fooled by him. Don't come up and try to stop that run. Let him run for 5 yards, 10 yards. If you come up and try to put a big hit on him, he'll throw it over your head. So, I mean, nothing cheap, nothing deep when you're working against Aaron Rodgers. He's the master of getting you offsides on that snap count with that hard count, and now he's got a free play. And he's gotten a bunch of touchdowns over his career with that cheap play, going deep with the football. Nothing cheap, nothing deep with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback.
Well, and the receiver Rodgers likes to go to is Davante Adams, second in the NFL in receptions entering today. He only has one touchdown, though, on the season. The Bengals secondary gets a little bit healthy. They bring in Jesse Bates is back. Chidobe Awuzie is back. How big of a lift does the two of them have when you're going up against a guy like Davante Adams?
I think you're hitting on another big deal, Marisa. In my mind, with the Green Bay Packers down the people they're down, for the Bengals to be back, getting back the people they're getting back. For the first time ever for this franchise, Waynes and Awuzie are going to start at corner. I mean, those are two big, acquisitions, and now for the first time that they're going to line up together. And now you've got Jesse Bates back after missing a game last week. So he's back with Bell. So you have the Killer Bees back there at safety. Will they be able to do some things with respect to Aaron Rodgers? So I think it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, the Packers aren't really missing anybody here recently due to injury. They had prior injury during the season that took them down a player, but they've got a very deep receiver core. But having all of the members of the secondary back, I think is monumental in this game. I think it's a big factor. I think it's a big deal. Now we'll see how these guys are going to line up and what Lou Anarumo can do with them. I think we're going to see the Bengals play a lot of soft coverage, and I think they're going to try to frustrate Aaron Rodgers. And if they frustrate Aaron Rodgers and he gets impatient and he throws one up there, he's the kind of guy, Marisa, that he has a 10-yard route wide open and he's got a 40-yard route down the field that he thinks he can split the double team because of his arm strength. He'll do it. He'll take that shot. And if he puts one up for you, make sure you catch it. You have to capitalize. Anytime he gives you an opportunity, you can't drop that football. You got to take the possession away from him from making that mistake. You can't let him off the hook. So I think that's going to be big on the back end. If plays are there to be made, got to go out and make them, period.
Absolutely. And, another key for this defense is stopping the run, which is something, they've done so far this year. They have yet to allow a 100-yard rusher on the season. But when you have a back like Aaron Jones for the Packers, just kind of what type of challenge does he present to this defense?
That's a big one, a big one. I think that's going to be Aaron Rodgers. If you can minimize the running game, even the great quarterbacks, if he's throwing because he has to, you have a chance. If he's throwing because he wants to, because he's got a running game, you're in trouble. You're in big, big trouble. And this guy Jones now, I went to Syracuse, and I'm very respectful of a guy who went there by the name of Jim Brown. And Jones and Jim Brown are the only two NFL running backs in the history of the league to have over 3,000 yards rushing and over 35 touchdowns rushing and average 5 yards a carry in so doing in the first 4 years of their career. Jim Brown and Aaron Jones. That's all I need to know. I mean, Aaron Jones has got 35 touchdowns in 35 regular season games. The dude is a touchdown maker. So, they've got the triplets, Rodgers, Jones, and they've got obviously a receiver that's leading the National Football League with 31 catches. And he's as good as there is in the National Football League in Adams. So they got talent. There's no question about it. This is a good football team skill-wise.
It really is. But we all know the difference a crowd could potentially make, Dave, and we're just about expecting a sellout at Paul Brown Stadium. Going to be one of the largest crowds I've ever seen, in my time here with the Bengals. So I'm looking forward to it. When you have, this type of hype, energy, excitement surrounding a game, what are you expecting kind of out of the crowd and kind of how that could play, into part here this afternoon?
There's no question. One of the big reasons that Aaron Rodgers has not won down here in Cincinnati is there's been an unscripted score. There have been defensive touchdowns scored against his offense. He's thrown picks. One of his 3 pick sixes he's thrown in his career has been against the Cincinnati Bengals. And then there was a fumble that Terrence Newman took back over 50 yards for a touchdown that basically won the football game the last time the Packers were down here, won the game for the Bengals. So the crowd noise could be a huge factor. And we do know in past has shown games here in Cincinnati, the Green Bay Packers travel like the Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers, some of these teams that have such history and tradition, they travel. If they can't get season tickets at home, so anywhere that's drivable, they're going to drive and buy tickets. There'll be a good contingent of Green Bay Packer fans here in this sellout crowd, and there's no question about it. But that's the case everywhere. I think the Bengals fans are going to be in full throat in this football game, and they're going to have to be. And I think that's the edge you're looking for. Even the great players, if they play if they're comfortable when they play, Marisa, they're going to put up numbers. If you make them a little uncomfortable, they're human beings, and they can make the chance of them making a mistake increases. There's no question about it. So a crowd that's making noise in Aaron Rodgers' ear where it's tough for him to communicate. He's not sure. All his teammates are hearing everything. Are they catching all my hand signals? It makes a big difference.
Well, as we wrap up our pregame live stream, one matchup I'm going to be watching closely is Jamar Chase against, that Packers secondary. Chase leading all rookie receivers in receiving yards. He's second among all rookies in scrimmage yards on the season. How is he going to build off of being Rookie of the Month for September here in October? So I'm eager to see Chase lined up against that Packers secondary. But Lap, real quick, what's a key matchup you're going to be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching the secondary, see how the Bengals wide receivers match up against a secondary that's down their best player. I agree with you. Who are they going to double team? Who are they going to leave in single coverage? I think that's all big. And then at the line of scrimmage, will the Bengals defensive line be able to control the Packers injured group up front? And will the Bengals offensive line be able to handle the interior of the Green Bay Packers defensive line and give Joe Burrow all kinds of opportunity and Joe Mixon, everybody time to do whatever they want?
All right, well, Bengals and Packers from Paul Brown Stadium coming up just after 1 p.m. on Fox as both teams going to be looking for win number 4 on the season. Dave Lapham, thank you for joining us. I'm Marisa Contipelli. Kickoff coming up on Fox just after 1 p.m.